Amazon CEO Andy Jassy says, hey, Amazon employees, come back to work. What do you think about that? This is Tad Fulford with Rise Up in Real Estate. When I saw this article, this ad on Today's Show a few days ago, I was fascinated by it. Here's the company that you can't ever see a human being, right? You can't ever get a person on the phone or even a real person on chat. It's the super virtual company. Most virtual company that I'm aware of that I practice interacting with almost every day. Returns are easy, orders are easy, shipping is free, and yet the CEO goes, since COVID, we've noticed a decline in a few things, and we need people back in the office. I was almost sure that this would lead, the fact that COVID drove people to work from home, forced us to, I was almost certain that now most places, like Amazon especially, would be 100% virtual. But now, guess what's happening? The CEO says, come back to work. And here's his two reasons why. In a quote, he said, there's two things that suffer when people don't come to the office. Number one is culture, and number two is brainstorming. I don't know why you can't create those two things as effectively on Google Workspace or Zoom or StreamYard, but apparently if someone like a leader like Amazon says it can't, and by the way, Walmart has also said this, Citibank has also said this, UPS has also said this. Now Amazon makes a huge statement, says 3 out of 5 days you got to come back to work, and guess what happens if you don't? Unless you have extenuating circumstances, unless it's written into your contract. I'm so sorry that it changed for you in COVID, that you restructured your entire life when that pandemic hit, and now we are going to unwind that for you and ask you to come back to the office 3 out of 5 days. And if you don't, guess what happens? You can go find another job. So now you can imagine the employees are up in arms. Some are fine with it, I'm sure. Some are really, really upset. Some are threatening to go find another place. Experts are saying that talent will be hard to bring in to a place like Amazon if they make this a mandate. Some are saying a lot of talent will leave. There's also experts who are saying that's exactly what Amazon wants, that they're a little bit heavy and lazy with talent, and their talent is not as talented as it was in 2019. They're more comfortable. They've created this environment where they sit at home and aren't as productive. Now, am I saying that all of them are? I'm not saying anything. I'm asking for you to chime in and you to tell me what you think. Do you think this is a way for an employer to really increase culture, to really increase brainstorming? Is there something to that? Or is it just to make things really more strict, to keep their eyes and ears on unproductive employees more readily? I'm not sure. It's interesting to me though, because Amazon is somebody that we all look up to. Their business practices have revolutionized the way business is done, and now they're making a bold statement. The super virtual company is saying you need to come back to work. I want you to ask yourself this question too. I think that's the beauty of an article or a story like this for me, is to look at yourself, look deep inside yourself and ask yourself these questions. The pandemic was certainly life-changing for all of us, right? It did change our practices, but it wasn't like in 2019 we were all saying to each other, let's go home and work. Like, I'm kind of tired of being at the office. I'm kind of tired of the atmosphere. I'm kind of tired of the culture. It's just kind of old and stale, and it's not as flexible, it's not as productive. We weren't saying those things. A major change in our lifestyle with the onset of COVID, the government said, hey, we can't do certain things. They were mandated. We didn't want to get the infection, right? So we all started working more virtually. We learned Zoom, and we learned a lot of things that make us more effective. But is it the kind of thing that a change in the environment or a change in what we were experiencing forced us to do something that now needs to be long-term, or does it need to consider the benefits of the things that we're losing now because we're working virtually need to be evaluated? I need you to ask yourself those questions. I need to ask myself those questions. Is it easier to be lazy at home? Is it easier to do laundry and walk the dog and feel like we're squeezing in work around our lives, which sounds very noble, right? It sounds like, one person even said when they were interviewed that life is too short to spend 5 days a week commuting. What would my grandparents have said to that? Like, life is too short. So this person doesn't want to drive to work. I'm assuming they're spending that commute time now working super hard, right? I'm glad that it has caused us all to evaluate personal and professional life, but I also want you to ask yourself a very serious question. Am I as productive at home as I am at the office? And if you're part of a team, or you're part of an organization, or you're part of what's considered a culture, ask yourself an honest question and say, is culture and brainstorming easier to build, like the Amazon CEO said, easier to build in your organization when you go and show up? Imagine your leader leaders. Imagine the broker owner or your team leader. Imagine how they feel if you aren't ever in the office. What is their opinion if you just check in on Zoom and you don't turn your camera on and you listen to classes and you just send your pendings across the wire and they get those things and they don't ever really know how you're feeling or how you're doing? Is accountability as easy? And accountability is not something that we like anyway, but is accountability as easy virtually as it is in person? Maybe that's part of the reason people like to stay at home. Maybe they don't like the accountability of a boss or a team leader or a broker owner looking at them and saying, hey, what things do you need to do to be more productive? I'm watching your daily activities. I'm part of those daily activities. You maybe need to change this or that. When they don't see you at all, what do they think? Imagine, take it one step further. I mean, you're in a relationship, right? With a team leader or with a broker owner or a boss. You're in a relationship. You have agreed to be in a relationship with that person. Imagine in your personal relationships if you decided to do them all virtual. Would a marriage work? Would raising your children work? I don't know if it would. So things to be thinking about today in your own life. Should you plug in more? Should you check in more? Should you go in more? Are you okay living in a virtual world? And is it best or not? Amazon made a big statement about that this week. This is Tad Fulford with Rise Up in Real Estate, and I hope this video today helps you rise up.